Hello, and welcome to another episode of Slam TV. I'm Professor Roger Yang, and we have a special episode for you today. Today's episode is all about the weighted mean. Luckily for you folks, we have a special guest here with us today. He's known as the Sultan of Stats. He's simultaneously the least common multiple and the lowest common denominator. You know who he is. I got J. Cho on my mind. I got J. Cho on my mind.
Say what?
I got J. Cho on my mind. I got J. Cho on my mind.
Hey, thank you for your introduction. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. You know, we're here today to talk about weighted mean. And I was thinking, before we get into weighted mean, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the mean formula. Could you review that for us?
Sure, the mean formula. First of all, when you look at the mean formula, you'll notice there's like x and there's a little line on the top. We're going to call it x bar.
Okay.
And on the right side, on top of the right hand side, you see there's a little squiggly thingy. It's actually Greek letter sigma. Sigma means in mathematics just sum bunch of things up. So on top you'll see sigma x, and x represents each element in your set. So sigma x on top, it just means you're adding a bunch of numbers, and you're dividing by n on the bottom, which means like how many numbers you have. So all in all, it's just like you're adding a bunch of numbers and just dividing by how many numbers you have.
Cool. Awesome. I think students can understand how mean works by thinking about it as sort of the center of balance. So imagine you have a ruler that doesn't weigh anything, and then you have a bunch of weights at different points on the ruler. If you found the average or the mean of those different weights, that would be the balancing point.
Right.
Yeah. Jay, why don't you tell us a little bit about the weighted mean formula now that we understand the mean formula?
Right. Weighted mean is slightly different. If you look at the weighted mean formula, you notice there are W's.
Oh, what's a W?
W's are different weights. So you can assign each number different weights. Maybe some number is more important, some number is less important. So if you look at the formula, on the top you'll see sigma Wx instead of just sigma x. And W is different weight for each element. And on the bottom, instead of n, which is how many numbers you have, we have sigma W, again another sigma. It just means you just add up all the different weights. So all in on top you multiply each element by the weight, and on the bottom you add up all the weights and divide by that.
I was thinking we could use weighted mean to help you find your own perfect someone.
Oh.
Are you dating anyone right
that
now?
again? Oh, what happened to your
It's complicated. It's complicated. It's complicated. Let's talk about your dating life. How about that, Jay?
Oh.
Are you dating anyone right now?
Sure, maybe or maybe not. Depends on what you define by dating. You know,
Okay.
you know how it is.
Okay. We can use weighted mean to help you sort through all of these people that you're dating.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure. Here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to create a weighted mean.
Okay.
We're going to call it the J-Cho Attractiveness Index.
Okay.
We can abbreviate that JCATI.
JCATI.
JCATI,
Gotcha.
yes.
Gotcha.
And what's going to happen is we have a variety of attributes.
Okay.
And you're going to assign each different attribute a different weight.
Okay. So.
Okay. So the different categories are money,
All right.
smarts,
Okay.
niceness,
Okay.
hair,
Very important.
education,
Okay.
looks.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
What I want you to do is I want you to imagine you have 20 sort of points.
All
The total weight will be 20.
Okay.
And I want you to assign them to different categories.
Right. So whatever I think is more important, I'm going to assign more points.
Right.
And then whatever I think is less important, I'm going to assign less points.
Right. You have 20 points to distribute.
Distributed. I got you. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Education, sure. Niceness, very important. Money, hair, important. Looks. Okay. Here.
Excellent. Oh, okay, good. So you've assigned the different weights to the different categories.
Right.
In order to calibrate the program, we're going to need to find a couple people for you to rate.
Like Sean Connery.
You like those Scottish guys?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, okay.
You know their accents.
Yeah, the accent's kind of cool.
Accents.
All right. Here, I found someone. Rank this guy.
What? Shrek? Oh.
Come on, Shrek. He's got personality. He's
Fine, I'll work with that.
okay.
Money, I think he has a lot of money, so that's 10. He's pretty nice. Education, I don't think he went to school. That's 0. Hair, ew. I don't think he has nice hair. All right, okay, I'm done. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Awesome. So we have all the calculations. Let's run it through the computer. Cool. Jay, do you mind explaining to us how this weighted mean was calculated?
All right, that's what happens. Oh, wow, very interesting. All right, so according to our formula, on top of the fraction, we're supposed to multiply weight and the score. So first category was money. I gave 3 as weight, and then score I gave 10 because Shrek has a lot of money. So 3 times 10 will give you 30. And the next is 1 times 2, which gives you 2. And then the next category, I get 7. The score is 9, so 7 times 9 is 63. That's a lot of points. And then 3 times 1 gives you 3. 2 times 0 gives you 0. 4 times 0 will give you 0. And what we do is sigma, as I said before, we are supposed to add up all the numbers. So we add up 30, 2, 63, 3, 0, and 0. And you get 98 as a result.
Okay, and that's the top of the...
Top of the fraction.
The top of that weighted mean fraction.
Exactly.
Got it.
On the bottom, you're supposed to add up all the weights, and we had 20 points. That's what I distributed. So on the bottom, you're going to get 20.
Got it.
So basically, the weighted mean is going to be 98 over 20, which is 4.9.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
We need to find someone else for you to sort of rate in order to finish calibrating the program.
All right. Hopefully somebody less green this time. Maybe a little bit more A-list, you know.
What, Shrek is an A-list?
You know.
Fine. We got to, I think you'll like this one. How about this guy?
Ooh, nice. Legolas. How did you know that? Lord of the Rings was my favorite movie.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so he's like, ooh, hair. Oh, nice. This looks great. I don't know if he has a lot of money. Smart. I don't think he's that smart. All right, here we go.
All right, let's run this to the computer.
All right.
Can you quickly lead us through
Sure,
this
let's see what happens
calculation?
this time. This is Legolas. All right, so the first is, again, same thing. I'm multiplying all the weights and then corresponding score together. Okay. So 3 times 8 is 24. 1 times 5 is 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 3 times 8, 24. 2 times 4 is 8. And 4 times 9 is 36. You look at all the numbers together. Add all the numbers together. You get 132. And again, the sum of all the weights is 20. Mm-hmm. So 132 divided by 20 will give you 6.6. Definitely higher rating than Shrek.
That is higher rating than Shrek.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome, Jay. So now it seems like the machine is properly calibrated. We can run our little program and find you the ideal partner.
Excited.
Are you ready?
All right.
Oh, Jay, we have an interesting result. There is a virtual tie. Would you like to know who the top two contestants are?
Who could that be?
I don't think you're going to be disappointed.
Better not be Justin Bieber.
Just because you look like Justin Bieber doesn't mean it is Justin Bieber. Well, if Justin Bieber were Asian. Anyways, we have 2 finalists. Our 2 finalists are Ryan Gosling and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nice. Ooh, that's tough one.
Well, you know what? The
That
computer has separated them. Here, let me show you. And maybe you can lead us through the calculation.
All right.
But before I pass you the calculations, I want to point out that both Ryan Gosling and Leonardo DiCaprio had the same total score.
Okay.
It was really the weighted mean that distinguished between these two.
Wow.
So maybe you could explain to our viewers how you ended up with the winner.
All right, let's see. I'm going to look at their scores. They have very similar score, except that Ryan Gosling has less money. Leo has 10 for money, and Ryan Gosling has only 9. I think Leo made way more money because he's been around longer. But Leo has 4 in education. Ryan has 5.
Wait.
I think
Aren't they
Leo
both child actors?
Yeah, but I don't think Leo passed his math 150.
No, he probably passed. But I think he said in an interview he didn't like math.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's
so
why
I think he lost a point or something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So even though they have very similar and their sum is the same, because I weigh money has weight 3 and then education has weight 2. So when you look at the the weighted mean, Ryan Gosling, the sum is 160, and then Leo is 161.
So what about when you calculate the weighted mean?
So weighted mean, Ryan Gosling, 160 divided by 20, so it's 8.00.
Uh-huh.
And Leo is 161 divided by 20. That'll give you 8.05. So close, but Leo has just a little bit better score for me.
Oh, well, it looks like we found Jay the perfect match. It's Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm flying, Jack.